When you find that even men like Aristotle, who is considered to be the father of modern philosophy, he had nothing rational to say about woman. For instance, he says that woman is the freak of nature. He says that when nature fails in producing the real human being, that is man, then the product is woman. The same view was held by Plato. Similar views have been held even by the medieval and some of the modern thinkers, as they are called. For instance, men like Schopenhauer. Among the religions of the world, again, so far as the records of history are concerned, we find that woman was regarded as a check. In one of the greatest religions of the world today, this thing reached its climax. I am referring here to the Judeo-Christian teaching, which is given in the book of Genesis, and is developed into a theory that was extremely insulting to woman. When you read the book of Genesis, you find there the story of the creation of the world and the creation of Adam and the creation of Eve from the rib of Adam. At the very beginning, woman is made subservient to man as an aberration or an irrational aberration on the scene of the human life, not very much different from the point of view of Aristotle. Then we are further told that when the devil in all his devilishness conspired to bring about the fall of Adam, as it is called, it is said, and St. Paul emphasizes it very strongly, that the devil was not able to get hold to overcome Adam because Adam had been created in God's own image. The wordings of St. Paul are, O woman, the curse of God rests on thee for all time, because it was thee who led him astray whom God had created in his own image and whom the devil could not lead astray. It is said that when the devil failed to beguile Adam, he approached the counterpart of Adam, that is Eve, and Eve fell into her trap. And because it is the weakness of man to fall a prey to the charms of the woman, especially if she is a wife, among the Hindus it is called Tirya Chalatar. They say, therefore, it so happened that this great Adam also was brought into the trap. And thus took place the original sin and the fall of Adam, for which Eve, as the first woman in the history of mankind, was responsible. Of course, if you think about it further, you find that the English language has enshrined this idea of the evil nature of Eve in its language itself. The English nation has enshrined this idea in the language itself because that which belongs to Eve is evil. From the linguistic point of view, evil is that which belongs to Eve. And add a D to it in the beginning and it becomes devil. So they say. So they say that there was a very natural affinity between Eve and the devil, and that was the reason why Eve could be deceived and led astray by the devil as compared with the role of Adam. And on this, of course, a whole theology was built up. If you read the writings of the early fathers of the Christian church, I quoted to you from St. Paul, who is the real founder of the church, according to history. Others also did not lag behind in showering curses on womanhood, indiscrimination. Saint Jerome, Saint Tertullian, Saint Athanasius, and so many saints of the early Christian church gave the titles to woman, which of course cannot be flattering for her at all. They call her the sting of the scorpion, the hissing of the serpent, the gateway to hell, the daughter of iniquity, and of the wild beast, the most dangerous. Things did not improve even when the Christian fathers started learning philosophy. It is thought that philosophy creates a sort of widening of the vision and outlook. But things did not improve even then, because when we go to St. Augustine, who was a highly cultured man from the standards of those days, and even now he's mentioned in the books on philosophy and so on and so forth, as an eminent person. Even when we go to this great man, St. Augustine, we find giving advice to the menfolk. Of course, advice has got to be given only to the menfolk, and this has also been copied by some of our Maulanas, to which my sister was referring, that they consider it a very devilish act to come before the ladies, their own sisters, and talk to them something about religion. It is probably a heritage from that side. St. Augustine says, I would not suffer a man to defile the sanctity of his personality through the filth of leading a married life. Then he goes after that, he feels a little compassion, not for the woman at all, but for man himself. He says, there is only one exception. If there is a man who is afraid to sleep alone at night, then he can be permitted to marry. Well, that was the story. The poor woman was exploited as a slave and as a chattel. The Hindu lawgiver Manu says, a woman should always remain in subjection to man. As a wife to the husband, as a widow to the son, as a sister to the brother. And consequently, the great act of piety was prescribed for the woman, that is, the husband dies. It will be an act of great piety on the part of woman to throw herself into the funeral fire, burn. It was not prescribed for men. Probably man is incapable of love according to them. That if a wife dies, a man may also demonstrate his love by throwing himself into the funeral fire. This I think, Sister Fatima, gives us a clue that they regarded woman as superior, probably, in this way. Yes. It's a tragic tale. Read the Encyclopedia of Religion and Ethics. Read any book on history of morals. Read any book on sociology in connection with customs and mores, and you will find this tragic history written and recorded. When the Holy Prophet ﷺ came, he came in this world and he came to a community which had gone a few steps ahead in connection with the exploitation of women on the basis of hatred and contempt. Not only did the women folk enjoy absolutely any legal position or any moral status in the Arab society of those days, the Arabs of those days considered it an act of greatest virtue to bury their daughters alive. They thought the birth of a daughter as something shameful for them. A man could marry any number of women. A stepson could compulsorily inherit his stepmother as a wife, and so on. And that thought was there, which very unfortunately has continued even in the mouths of certain Maulvis up to this day, that Eve was born from the rib of Adam. The Quran doesn't say this. The Hadith doesn't say this. It is blasphemy. It is something which has been taught only by Christianity and Judaism. What the Quran says on any occasion when I am going to speak on creation and the emergence of man and how they were formed according to the Quran, because we have the notion, I heard it from my elders when I was a young boy, and I have been hearing it in the theological seminaries of the Muslims also, that one fine morning God made the statue like a potter out of clay, and then breathed into him his breath, and lo and behold, there was Adam running on the ground. This anthropomorphic conception has absolutely no reference to anything that has been taught in the Quran or in the Hadith. Recently I was reading, but I have referred to it with great pain, because recently I was reading and my wife was sitting with me in the car at Karachi, and I got the mail from South Africa, a book which is being printed in South Africa in Urdu, and which goes to different parts of the world in installments. There was a big qasida in praise of womanhood, throwing all the curses on her. A book written by some eminent Muslim Maulana. But terrible things have been told there which are absolutely baseless. And for that they have taken the old Christian thought that Eve was born of the rib of Adam. Therefore Eve or woman is born to be subservient to man and the slave of man. She cannot have any independent status, whether legal or economic or moral or spiritual. And so woman's faults have been mentioned in this Urdu book which is being printed in South Africa and Senegal. My wife took that paper from my hand and she started reading. She said, "What? Who wrote this book?" I said, "Some great Maulana." She said, "But is it correct what he has said here?" I told her, I said, "You are also a student of Islam, why do you ask me about it?" She said, "But this is all nonsense." I said, "So as a lady, you may write a letter of protest to the publisher." This dogma that the woman was responsible for the original sin, so-called, and according to the Bible, of course, that original sin was not forgiven by God, and consequently the impact of that original sin continues. And the special type of handicap from which a woman suffers physically here in this life are a mark of added punishment to her, because she was the culprit, real culprit behind all this drama. Now, the Holy Prophet ﷺ pronounced a masculine revolt against it. Read the Quran. There are some people who say that what the Quran teaches and what the Bible teaches and what the Vedas teach and what the Gita teaches and what this teaches and that is the same. Unfortunately not. It would have been something very fortunate if it had been so. He removed all those wrong notions. And in that connection, if you look up the story of Adam and Eve as given in the Quran and as given in the Bible, you will find that the Quran even there proves fully that it is a book based on divine knowledge and divine wisdom and not wishful thinking of man against woman or woman against man or this tribe against that tribe. One of the Orientalists, and these Orientalists play a very malicious role, unfortunately, he has said about Islam that Islam is the bastard child of Judaism and Christianity. But probably this bastard child is fairer, healthier, nobler, sublimer, and better. When you read the story of Adam and Eve, you find there, the Bible says that the devil wanted to beguile Adam. The Quran also says that. Then the next step, who was beguiled? The Bible says that it was the Eve because of her evil, because of her affinity with evil. She was beguiled. Come to the Quran and you will read, فَأَذَلَّهُمَ الشَّيْطَانُ عَنْهَا. When the Quran comes on at this point, it says, both of them were led astray simultaneously. And it is saying this also not by taking names. It uses a dual pronoun, azallahuma. Uses a dual pronoun in order that Muslims may not fall into the error later on, that if Adam has been mentioned, then they might say that Adam was more guilty, and if Eve is mentioned first, then they might think that Eve was more guilty. So the Quran has not mentioned the names here, but given a dual pronoun pronoun for two persons and said, Azallahum ash-shaytanu an. So that entire guilt has been removed, that special crime of Eve and so on and so forth, that entire theology has been broken to pieces and thrown away. Of course, the story runs like that, and so far as the book of Genesis in the Bible is concerned, it contains many more things of that sort. This is not my topic tonight. The Quran proclaims, Ya ayyuhan nas ittaqu rabbakum alladhi khalaqakum min nafsin wahidah wa khalaqa minha zawjaha wa bassa minhuma rijalan kathiran wa nisaa. Now here some people have stumbled. It says, be careful of your in respect of your dealings with one another, who created you from a single living entity and made its mate thereof out of. People say, look here is the story. That Adam was made first and Eve was made out of the rib of Adam. If they could have learned a little of biology, probably they could have been able to understand what God Almighty is saying here. We know in biology that the unitary cell, which is the basis of life, multiplies itself through fission. The cell is like a sort of cup. You may imagine it, a very, very tiny cup. The fission takes place in that, and when the fission takes place in that, two walls emerge in the middle of that cell, and then these two walls or these two screens separate from one another, and in this manner, one cell becomes two. Khalaqakum min nafsin wahida never says that Khalaqakum min rajulun wahid, created you from a single man. It is only saying created you from a single living organism. And as we know in biology, the single living organism, which is the basis of life, is the unitary cell. And the unitary cell multiplies through fission. That is something very well known and which cannot be debated. It is that cell which evolved to become Adam on one side and Eve on the other. That was the first cell which came into being. Of course, I have not to talk here on the evolution of man, but actually, that story, that cock and bull story type of thing, you see, which is there, is not mentioned in the Quran or in the Hadith.